Welcome everyone. We are super excited to see you join our 7th webinar in our series and the first of 2025. And Happy New Year to everyone that is joining us. In the meantime, as we wait for everyone to join, please take a moment to ensure that you check your audio, make sure your cameras and your connection is stable, and please introduce yourselves in the chat by sharing your name, your organization, where you're joining us from, and the superpower that you're bringing to the sector this year, right? Given it's a fresh year and we're all just starting. So just paste your name, your organization, where you're joining, and the superpower that you are bringing this year. And we will begin in the next 2 minutes. Good morning once again, good afternoon, and good evening to all our participants, depending on where you are joining us from. And I hope that you all had a wonderful, restful, and exciting holiday. And welcome back to our data systems webinar series, where we spotlight sanitation data and operation management systems. And this is our 7th webinar in the series and the first of 2025. Happy New Year to everyone that are just joining us. We are super excited to have you join us back. And as the webinar goes on, let's continue to post our names, where we're joining from, and our institutions, and also superpower, right, that we're bringing to the sector. It will be exciting to see the energy that we all are bringing to the sector this year. As we are talking about this year promises to be a very, very exciting year, as we continue to explore ways to strengthen data systems for the sector. And we have a couple of announcements that you will see that are lined up during this session, including the launch of the WSH Data Labs, a dedicated program that is advancing data for decision making, as well as the latest Non-Sewered Sanitation data systems landscape report, and a data and operation management tools dashboard that we will talk about as we go along this webinar. And all these products are to be launched at AFWASA, which is again super exciting, where we have some panel sessions, and again we'll talk about them as we go along. We at Dev-Afrique are proud to partner and continue the engagements with the Eastern and Southern Africa Water and Sanitation Regulators Association, ESAWAS, and the Global Water Operators Partnerships Alliance, GWOPA, to deliver this webinar series. And our goal still remains to support utilities, municipalities, other local actors, governments, research institutes, regulators, development partners, and donors in enhancing water and sanitation data systems across Africa, with a specific focus on Sub-Saharan Africa. For our webinar today, we will start by just a short recap of the public data systems project that we have been implementing at Dev-Afrique. We'll then have a snippet of the WSH Data Labs, and then we will have a presentation from WASREB on the WARIS platform, and then we'll have a live demo, and then we'll take a short break just so that everyone can grab coffee, stretch, and then we'll come back after that 5-minute break for a question and answer session. During the question and answer session, everyone's microphone would be unmuted. So for those that will be able to speak up, feel free to raise your hand when we're in the Q&A session, and then I will point at you or call on you to ask your question. And for those that will not feel free to speak out, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and then we will have some next steps, and then will be the end of our webinar today. Just a recap again on our housekeeping rules just before we dive into the next sections. Remember that this session is being recorded, and the recording will be shared with all participants afterwards via email, but will also be housed on our platform. And then kindly keep your microphones muted, especially during the Q&A session, just so that we focus on the questions that are being asked at a time. And during the course of the presentation, if you want to type your question just so that you do not forget it, feel free to use the chat feature to post your questions, and then the questions will then be addressed during the question and answer session. And feel free again to engage with us via the chat. We have a dedicated team that will be responding to the different queries. And once again, just another recap that as we partner with ESAWAS and GWOPA network, kindly join the ESAWAS Engage platform just to continue engaging on these topics, and then join the GWOPA COP, Sanitation COP, just to continue engaging with like-minded people and professionals to drive sustainable action and collective efforts in strengthening the sector. That's a quick recap before we dive into the main presentation of the Sanitation Public Data Systems Project, a project that commenced November 2023, and the goal of this project was to improve public data systems for effective decision making and performance management for sanitation service delivery, and the focus was at the municipal and utility levels. And the goal of the specifically the project sought to improve understanding of data systems, strengthening best practices by documenting some best and transferable practices from non-WASH sectors like health. A landscape assessment was done, and we will be sharing a little bit more in the course of the coming webinars on when that would be launched. And then we went on to also support improving understanding of the current state of non-sewered sanitation data systems at the municipal and utility levels across Sub-Saharan Africa. And the work has been very exciting. A couple of interviews and stakeholder engagements were conducted, and a report has been synthesized, and we are super excited to have that launching at AFWASA. And then we have worked closely with ESAWAS, who are currently finalizing the WASH Data Systems Maturity Framework, a framework that helps utilities, municipalities, regulators, and actors across board to understand how mature the data systems are and where corrective actions may need to be undertaken in a bid to develop costed action plans that would drive implementation of the data system strengthening efforts. And then we have also landscaped and developed an inventory of successful WASH tools. And again, when we say tools, we mean data and operation management systems across Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And we have a tools dashboard or a tools map that facilitates the lessons that we have learned, but at the same time also serves as a repository for the sector, for everyone to get access to what data and operation management systems are being used across the region for potential adaptation and replication. And then we continue to provide technical support and facilitate cross-learning and insights across the sector. And specifically, this webinar series falls under the landscape and WASH tools inventory development body of work, and which we are super excited to run. We have hosted a number of webinars last year, 6 of them to be specific, and the goal is to spotlight water and sanitation data system tools or data and operation management systems that are being used across Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And our aim is to promote shared learning and best practices and enhance the use of these WASH data and operation management systems to improve decision-making, performance management, and service delivery at the utility and municipal level, but not to say it's only limited to the utilities and municipals. We know and strongly believe that the foundation of a robust data system is a pyramid approach where the utilities and municipalities form the core base of the pyramid, and then we have the regulatory, national, and ultimately the global levels getting data from the base and the grassroots. And so this webinar still closely links with the broader ecosystem actors and provides the opportunity for all actors to participate in cross-learning activities and explore efforts to strengthen data systems. We, as mentioned, held 6 webinars last year, supported by our partners ESAWAS and GWOPA. The series addressed the critical challenges and spotlighted tools or data and operation management systems and documented the journeys that some of our actors and colleagues have gone through from one when they had just thought about digitizing and transitioning to utilizing data systems for their work, the journey to improve the data culture and the different iterations that they had to go through to ensure that the data systems that they are developing are responsive to the needs of both their operations but their partner ecosystem as well. And the webinars attracted over 700 participants from over 40 countries. And we had an exciting year-end engagement with the likes of NWASCO from Zambia and Lusaka, who's a regulator from the EDAMS, part of the Hydrocom company, NAWASCO, which is Nakuru in Kenya, the Lusaka Water and Sanitation Company, in collaboration with the Lusaka Sanitation Program, Sunny Tracker from ESAWAS, Ida Water from Malaysia. And we will continue on this trajectory to spotlight some of these very exciting efforts that would strike conversation and continuous learning opportunities within the sector. One product that we are super excited about is the WSH Data Labs. So we have been implementing this public data systems project over the course of the year 2024. And a lot of learnings came to us as we implemented all those bodies of work. And in a bid to continue to support the sector in a more targeted way and to have sustained data system strengthening efforts to improve service delivery and performance management, we will be launching the WSH Data Labs at AFWASA, and the labs will provide training, mentorship, and access to cutting-edge data systems strengthening resources. And at the WSH Data Lab specifically, our goal is to co-create data system strengthening solutions with utilities, municipalities, and regulators to champion data system strengthening best practices to enhance the effectiveness of utility data and operation management systems, which other people would call data system tools, and to promote data systems knowledge exchange and shared learning. And so we are super excited, and again, look out for the communications around the WSH Data Labs launch, and we hope that everyone will join us at AFWASA in Kampala. Whilst we're on the AFWASA topic, we will also be launching the Non-Sewered Sanitation Data Systems Landscape Report that showcases the status, challenges, and recommendations from sector actors around how we could all work together to strengthen data systems for non-sewered sanitation. This is an extensive research report that was conducted across 10 sub-Saharan African countries, encompassing a couple of actors within those countries. And so we are also super excited to be launching this at AFWASA. Again, keep on the lookout. And then alongside this, again, as mentioned, we will be launching the tools dashboard, which just works as a repository to provide the sector with a shared learning repository where everyone can go and access what are the tools that are currently being used in what region, how are they being used, what's the success story or the journey that these tools have been undertaking, and then looks at the data generation analytics and how they are operationalized, and also provide some contact details for the tools owners in case the visiting or the users of the dashboard would like to get more information or also adapt that particular platform. And so that was just a snippet of what's to come, as well as a recap of how our webinar has been and the project that we have been implementing, supported by the Gates Foundation. Coming to our webinar today, we're super excited to host webinar number 7 in our series, which focuses on the Water Regulation Information System by WASREB. And we will be hearing from the WASREB team on how this particular information system is revolutionizing and changing and improving decision making for Kenya. And a reminder that this webinar series is in partnership with WASREB, ESAWAS, and GWOPA. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers for today. We have Brenda, who is the Information and Communications and Technology Manager at WASREB, and Gideon, who's the Systems and Database Administrator. And so I will hand over the mic to the team, and as Brenda and Gideon come up, if you did not access the learning material for this particular webinar, feel free to just scan the QR code, and it will take you right to the summary PDF document that showcases the WARIS 2. And so without further ado, I will hand the mic over to Brenda and Gideon.
Thank you, Shuko, for the introduction. I'm excited to be part of this webinar. Thank you all for joining in to listen in on what we have here on a water regulation information system, which is our main data collection tool for the water sector. Okay, the presentation will basically touch on what WASREB as a regulator does, the information system called WARIS that we use for data collection. We'll also have an overview of the data that is collected and the key performance indicators. And then we'll have a snapshot of some sample outputs derived from the system. And then from there, we'll now skip over to the live system orientation, which will be done by my colleague. Now, to have a context, what WASREB is a Water Services Regulatory Board, which is a body that was set up under the Water 2002 Act, which was later repealed in 2016. And as a regulator, we regulate the water services within the country. As you can see there, the 2002 Act separated water services, separated policy formulation, regulation, and service provision, and it also separated water services and water resources. So the highlighted box is where WASREB sits in the water services provision context. Now, to narrow in on the mandate of the water services regulator, as I have mentioned, our regulation function was enhanced in 2016. Our main mandate is to protect the interests and the rights of consumers in water services provision. Last year in December, the President expanded our mandate, and we call it an amendment of the 2016 Act, which this Act will allows the PPPs to form. It provides a basis for the private-public partnerships to also participate in investment in water services provision. So in addition now, with that in context, the purpose of WASREB, number one, we license water service providers and also the bulk water service providers who have come now within our ambit. And then after we license the water service providers, we ensure that the services they're giving the consumer is in line with our set pricing. So we negotiate and set tariffs for the water service providers. And then in addition to that, when we are setting the targets during the licensing process, we align them to our standards and guidelines. So we set standards for water service provisions. We monitor implementation of these standards, and then we enforce compliance to these set standards. So when you look at our work as a regulator, we are mostly monitoring, and you can see as we continue monitoring as part of our mandate, in the process we collect a lot of data, and we facilitate information provision through this data for the sector. And then last but not least, we also advise our Cabinet Secretary on the matters of water services. And as you can see from our mandate, all these activities are data-driven. So now that's when we go to our system. We have seen the background of on the context of where WASREB is, and now we have seen the importance of the regulator to have data, and that is now why WARIS has come in. Under the Water Act 2016, we are required to maintain a national database and information system on water services. And in addition to that, we are also required to report annually to the public on the issues of water supply, and report on the performance of the water service providers. So this is where the system is anchored on. WARIS will, align with our mandate, we require availability of consistent data, and it is our responsibility to ensure that the data that is disseminated to our stakeholders is reliable, and that is what is used for monitoring and decision making. And then this same data that we are required to provide to the sector is mostly on performance and operational data. And with this data we use to benchmark our utilities. We'll get into that in the course of the presentation. And then this same data that we are required to collect to give us the status of the water services provision, it helps our stakeholders to know about the water and sanitation supply status within their areas. We have the water service provider service areas. We also have small-scale service providers, which cover the whole country. Our mandate as WASREB covers the whole of the 47 counties within the country. So the data that we receive is within that scope. And then also, as I mentioned, this data that we receive, this performance data, forms the basis of our tariffs and license process. These are basically the engine of the water service providers in terms of enhancing service provision to the stakeholders. So now, the system, this WARIS system, exactly mirrors what is required of us as a regulator according to the legal requirements as set out in our mandate. So the system increases transparency in the sense that there is a self-reporting by the utilities whereby they provide the operational data, which is published and accessible by the stakeholders. So the data is available, and hence there is transparency. And then with the data that we have within WARIS, you will get to see that it facilitates the annual performance reporting that we do, where we compare the service provision that is done by the different utilities, and we're able to improve accessibility of this information. And now this information, when we're able to provide the trends, we're able to do our monitoring through the inspections. They in turn help us as a regulator and also our stakeholders in providing decision making. And then you will also get to see how important the tool does in terms of supporting the management audits. The data that is captured in the system is operational data for the WSPs, which provides a crucial tool for managers to manage the water service provision. And then the tool is not only accessible by the regulator, but we also have other stakeholders who access it. Apart from the data providers who have been the water service providers, we also have our county governments and our county government personnel and the water work development agencies who are able to access the data that is collected within the system. As I mentioned, the WARIS system provides an array of benefits to our different stakeholder groups. Apart from, as WASREB, it helps us to monitor and compare the performance of the respective water service providers. And for the water service providers, we are able to see how well the waterworks development agencies that are contained that are the water service providers and the waterworks development agencies, as well as the counties, and we're able to know how compliant they are with the standards that we have set. And then in addition to that, we also have updated information on marginalized areas. One of the key issues that we are required to have data on is the data on the underserved areas. So WARIS enables us to get that information and be able to push the water service providers to extend their services to these areas which are within their jurisdiction. And in addition to that, the data that we contain is usually very reliable, and it provides factual information for the political decision makers. The politicians are able to get extracts from a report and be able to assist their different areas in terms of development of water services. And then WARIS enables us to generate sector reports. As I said, the system is accessible by the different stakeholders, so they're able to log into the system and compare. Like, for example, the waterworks development agencies would log in and compare the water service providers within their areas, and they're able to know which of these water service providers are performing well, which ones are lagging behind, and what interventions can be done. The counties, of the 47 counties, county officer can log into the system and be able to compare the different counties within the different water service providers within their county, and know the ones that need direct intervention, maybe in terms of funding, expansion of services and rehabilitation, and anything that will improve the quality of service in water services provision. And then WARIS itself, all this data, we use it and we provide forecasts. In terms of the data that we receive, we're able to prescribe information for the sector through our monitoring activities and ensuring the WSPs are able to comply with our set standards. And then, yes, financial and investment planning is very critical for both the counties and the water service providers, and also the waterworks development agencies. We will go to the data that the information system collects and we'll be able to see. So that's WARIS, that's how it looks like. 4 main things that it caters for: data collection, validation, secure storage, and it enables report generation. Can go to the next slide and highlight on the features. Yeah, this is how the system looks like when you log in. That's just a screenshot of the regulator's homepage. Yeah, so these are the features. You can, as you notice there, we are on version 4. So the features that we have, it's accessible online. The advantages of an online database, it is always consistent and accessible and reliable. And when you look at it from the interaction that we have, it has an improved user interface, which is easy to interact with during the data entry process and also the validation process. And the system enables different access levels and roles. The different water service providers are able to access the system within their own profile. WASREB has its own profile, and within even the water service providers, there's a segregation in their roles. You can have the different data managers logging into the system. You can have the finance people accessing the finance module only. You can have the technical people accessing the 𝗟RW and the other technical aspects of the system, and they're able to be assigned those specific data entry tasks which they perform within their work. The system also has enhanced reporting features. You'll be able to see that when you do the demo. And then data protection and integrity is maintained. The system is secure. It's it's hosted in the cloud. When you talk about data integrity, we talk about all the aspects of information security are catered for, from the basic password management policies to the encryption standards that are hosted within the cloud. And then the system allows us to have audit trails. Any changes that are made on the data are able to be tracked, and it is known who did the changes and why. Any comments on the specific data points are can be given, and you'll be able to drill down and know the basis of the data. You'll be able you'll be shown that in the demo. And then this version 4 also has enhanced validation checks and quality assurance, which I will touch on as we progress with the presentation. Now the journey. WARIS, as you have seen, on the version 4 right now. So when we started with version 1, that was when we first came into being. Remember, we were set up from the presentation. We were set up through the Act of 2002, but we operationalized our work around 2003 there. So the first time we came to reporting the data was for the data of 2005 to 2006, and the Excel-based version was basically a requirements gathering tool that we used to set up the KPIs and the parameters that we used to collect data from the utilities. So when you look, we usually have our annual publication, which is called Impact. And if you looked at our first publication of Impact, it covered the data for 2005, 2006, and that is the first time now we were piloting the version 2 of our tools, of our WARIS. Now we moved from the Excel-based, which was helping us in requirements gathering and collection, and then now we moved to the version 2, which was a standalone application. That means it used to be stored on different machines, on different laptops. We used to run it with the CD, with the compact disc. It was really providing a lot of support overhead. It was really time consuming, because every time when you went to the field to commence the data collection process, you had to make sure, first of all machines have been up to date in terms of the operating system software, and then after that we install now the system itself, the WARIS version 2, and then after installing the WARIS version 2, now that's when now we enable the collection of the database. Now, once the data was collected through the machines, again, the users had to export the information to a file, a simple compressed text file, and then the text file again would be saved in a flash disk and then given to a WASREB person to import it on their machines again. So you can imagine how it was introducing a lot of, there were some cases of inconsistency in terms of the versions. So it was really important to synchronize the process of the data importing. So we had to designate only one machine to be importing the WSP's data. And cognizant of these challenges and the evolvements in the technological sphere, we thought it was important now to upgrade to the WARIS version 3, which changed this standalone online application to an online shared database. This was we did the rollout in 2014. Now this was actually really a game changer in terms of management of the data and how it was accessible. Moving the system to an online shared cloud-hosted database was not only efficient, it was accessible anywhere, and it was more reliable. But now, midway between using the system, there were some changes that were in our regulatory environment, which required us now to update the version. Our constitution we got into a new constitution. It was promulgated in the Constitution 2010. So we had to adjust the WARIS requirements to be in line with the new setup of which separated the government into the county governments and the national government. So there are 2 levels of government. That means our tool needed to be aligned to fit into the context of the country. So that's one of the reasons why now we updated the version 3, and then we also had some changes in the Act, whereby we had the waterworks. We had the waterworks development agencies. The reporting framework was also changed. So those are some of the changes that we implemented, and we moved to our version 4, which we rolled out 2 years ago. As you can see from the journey, the changes that we have can either be both technological, or they can be on the regulatory environment. So it becomes very important to adapt and adopt to the situation to be able to collect data as a regulator. So now we are currently using our version 4, which will be shown. Now, just looking forward, we always imagine how would it be, how would version 5 look like. We are looking at how the technological world is evolving. We hopefully may have integration with the Internet of Things. We are looking, maybe we'll have the artificial intelligence in terms of how the data is accessed and managed. And we also want to look into a system which enhances everyday tasks for the water service providers, because that is one of the gaps we have seen. The data transforming from the water service providers to the regulator. Once the systems are put in place and they work well, you find the quality of data is also good. And then we also want to automate a decision-making process. We want personalizes the experiences. That is the system of the future that we're looking at. So we will continue to do that as we work towards being a data-driven, effective regulator. Yes, so we will briefly go to the data collection process within WARIS. First of all, the data is requested by WASREB, and it is created by the water service providers. After that, they change the data status to data entry. And then once the data entry is done, you will see the different modules that are the data is required. The data has to be reviewed. The data has to be reviewed. So the reviewing is done both internally within the water service provider. After they continue when the review is done by a different user within the water service provider, the data can, if it has any errors that need to be corrected, it is returned to data entry, and the corrections are made within the water service provider. After that, when it's marked as reviewed, it's submitted to WASREB. WASREB will again review the data, and if there are any concerns and on the data which we receive, we can either accept or reject the data, and we return it to the water service provider, who will correct it. Now, this whole process of review enables us to ensure that the data that we receive is of quality data. What we do when we receive the data in WASREB, we cross-check it with the other data sets, and then we'll be able to guide the WSPs on what they are required to check on in terms of the data that they have provided. And then now, once the data goes through the whole cycle and acceptable at WASREB, at the regulator's desk, we verify it and then we publish it. So this next slide emphasizes the two main players in this in the data collection process, which is the regulator and the utility. And once the utility receives the data request, they create it, they go into data entry, they do internal review, and they push it to WASREB. Remember, this whole process is very rigorous, and to ensure that the data that we finally publish is reliable. Now, this is what I wanted to emphasize on. How do you ensure data quality? First of all, we have inbuilt checks that the system assists us to we have the inbuilt checks that are within the system, whereby the system will check if the data is meaningful. Alphanumeric characters, of course, are also checked. You cannot have a numeric field, an alphabetic field in a numeric type data set. So, and then we also have cross-checking of the different indicators. The system will check will compare the different indicators and see if the information that is within WARIS, the information that for a certain indicator is corroborating well with another one. Like, for example, if a WSP says that they provide 24 hours supply of water, and yet when you look at the per capita consumption, which is very low, it will flag it out for you so that you check and see how is it that you are claiming to provide a lot of hours supply in our supply, and yet the per capita maybe is very low, 1 liter per capita per day. So the system will do those different cross checks, and then after that we will. It has the internal review mechanism is inbuilt. Data cannot be sent to WASREB without internal review within the system, and then external review is done now by WASREB itself, because we have it within the system. Yes, and then we had corroboration with the tariff data, licensing data, and the inspections report, and then now that's when now we publish the data. What I want to emphasize is that once the data is collected in the system, we cross-check it with the data that we have within WASREB. Remember, we set tariffs and licensing, and they submit the applications through WASREB. So we also check this data and confirm if it matches well with what they have submitted. Yes, data collected in WARIS. We have different categories of data. We have data on the service coverage, which basically will give us water and sanitation coverage for the water service provider. For here, we make reference to the census, the national census as the basis. The water services coverage will basically cater for all the different types of the domestic consumer connections, which are a number of which are categorized differently. We have yard taps, we have domestic connections, we have kiosks, and we also have multi-dwelling units, which all add up to the water services coverage. And then we also have sanitation services. Sanitation coverage is also calculated from the different types of sanitation within the water service provider. We have both the off-site and the on-site sanitation. We have the sewage, which for the companies that have sewerage connections, and then now we have the on-site sanitation options, which are all covered from the lowest level of the composting toilets to the VIPs and to the flush to pour toilets. So all that information is included within the sanitation. And then LIA in this context refers to the low income areas. We also make deliberate action as a regulator to cover the information on the low income areas, whereby targeted investments are done to ensure that the underserved areas are able to receive the dignity, to receive water in the way they are supposed to as per the human rights to water. And then one of the other pillars that we also cover is the financial data. The financial data, we cover the revenues, expenditures, the different types of expenditures that the WSPs incur within the organization as per their financial reports. And then we also have investment information. We have the debt management module. We have the statement of comprehensive income, the statement of financial position, and the statement of cash flow. We have all that information within the financial. So this information that they're filling in, they use it based on the audited reports, or the reports that have been submitted for audit to our Auditor General. Now crossing over to the commercial data. We have under commercial data, this is which is for the utilities, they make reference to their billing systems, whereby we have the different water connections, the different categories of the water connections and their corresponding billed volumes, how much they were collected, and Yes, the amount of money that they are paying for each of that. So all this information plays a very important role when you are looking at the pricing of water. As I mentioned, this tool helps us to determine the tariffs. Now, we also have technical information and we also have personnel information. Technical information, that's where we collect the NRW, in revenue water, we have production volumes, and we also have water quality monitoring in terms of the chlorine, water chlorine standards, and other physiochemical tests, water chlorine bacteriological tests and physiochemical tests. Yes, so we talked about WARIS having a number of indicators. We have 65 indicators, but for ranking, we use 9 indicators. So these 9 indicators, we went through a process of refining them so that they're able to capture what is the pressing needs that we have, both as a sector, and we also align with the human rights to water. I will touch on the KPIs in the coming slide. Maybe you can move on. That will also allow you time to look at the system. Yes, so we also have, apart from the 9 KPIs, we have we also undertake governance assessment, PROPO assessment, whereby we check the low-income area, low and underserved areas in terms of the services that they give to the poor. And then we have credit worthiness assessment, whereby we rate the financial capabilities of the water service providers, and we give them a rating. We have the criteria that is set. It is in our publication. And then now, in terms of moving forward with the system, we are looking to do more data quality assessment. We are working on that. That's the items in blue there mean we are working towards it. And then we are moving towards ranking consumer engagement of the water service providers. For this, we have already identified the parameters. We are just yet to upgrade the system to include them. And then now we also have this sanitation key performance indicators, which we already have them defined as at now, and we are working towards implementing them in the system. Yes, so these are the 9 KPIs that I was talking about. When you look at those smaller circles, they contain each of the 9 indicators. So these 9 key performance indicators have been clustered into 3 main categories. There's ones for operation sustainability, whereby we look at the WSP's operations, and then we have the quality of service indicators, and then we also have the economic efficiency indicators, which are leverage on the finance aspects. So the ones under economic efficiency, we have the revenue collection efficiency, whereby we check how efficient are the WSPs in collecting the billed amounts, the billed amounts that they give to their customers. And then we have we also check the personnel expenditures. We have different benchmarks to guide that, which one is the most efficient, which is the acceptable and unacceptable, and how they need to improve. And then we also have O&M cost coverage, which checks the operation and maintenance costs for the WSP, taking into account all the expenditures and the revenues that have been received based on the data that you collected under the financial. And then with regards to operational sustainability, here we check the staff productivity, which is obtained from the personnel information compared to the number of connections that are within the water service providers. We have set guidelines to help the utilities to align themselves to what is required based on their size. And then we have metering ratio, whereby we check the number of meters, number of connections that have meters against all the connections within the water service provider. And then we have the non-revenue water, which will basically check the lost water, the water that is lost through the system due to various reasons. Here we basically just take the abstracted volume, the water that is available for treatment versus the water that has been billed. That is the direct formula that we apply. So you can see the different weighting that is done. The quality of service indicators have the biggest weight of 40%. And this what actually is where now the human rights to water is anchored. We talk about the water coverage indicators. We have the drinking water quality, and we have the hours of supply. Yes, now this is just a snapshot of some of the reports that we have. This is an example of how our system will help us in SDG reporting. You can see we're able to know the different, we are able to know the data that we collect based on what is provided in WARIS, the safely managed and the basic services. We're able to know from WARIS. And then now from this, now we are able to disaggregate and report the information on the different categories, all the way from the unconventional methods all the way to the safely managed. So the tool helps us in collecting data in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And then, yes, then this is also very important. As I mentioned, we have our different counties. On the right, you can see that is a map of our country. That is Kenya. You can see the different counties that I was talking about. They're there. That gray county there, it's a county that we did not receive sufficient information from them. However, you can see at a snapshot, you're able to know the coverage levels for the counties based on the water service providers' information that is available. Yes, now with just the theory background of the system, we invite my colleague to continue with the live orientation of the system to be able for you to appreciate the features that are within the WARIS version 4 that we have. Thank you. Shuko, over to you.
Thank you, Brenda. We'll just pass it on to Gideon for the live demo.
Thank you, Shuko. I'm also excited to be part of this webinar, and my name is Gideon 𝗟𝗃. Thank you everyone for joining in. Today I'm going to take you through the live system, that is the WARIS system. And without further ado, let's get straight to it. I'm sharing my screen. I hope everyone can see it. And this is our version 4 interface, user interface for WARIS. So from this, today we're going to focus on 2 portals. We have the various portals, but today we're going to focus on the water service provider portal and also the WASREB portal. I'm going to use existing accounts to log into WASREB portal and also to log into the water service provider portal. Okay, so I'm logged in as the administrator for WASREB. Of course, the system has the capability of assigning the roles and permissions. So this is an administrator account. Various accounts would have different rights, and that is very crucial because when it comes to WSPs, we'll be able to see what a data entry person can do. A reviewer account might not be able to do the same thing. So I'm going to join in concurrently with that WSP account so that we can see how data flow from water service provider accounts to WASREB account. So I'm going to use one of the accounts here. As you can see, there is a list of the water service providers who are registered by WASREB, and I'm going to use one of the accounts to log in. Once again, I'll choose the administrator account. Okay, so the overview of the WASREB portal is, as you can see, we have a dashboard with the key performance indicators, the 9 of them. It shows the national sector performance for a certain year. For this scenario, we are seeing the data for 2023-2024 financial year. I can always choose the year to see the performance for each KPI nationwide. So we'll get back to how this is generated. Think based on how we get to compute these KPIs when we get to dataset section. Over here also we have a very nice ranking reports based on the key performance indicators. This report will actually rank the water service providers based on the categories. The categories being large, very large, and these categories depends on the number of connections that our water service provider has. So we'll also get to know how this report is generated. So I want to right away switch to data collection, which acts as the main section for WARIS. So every year when WASREB want to collect data from various water service providers, we would initiate a request for data collection. So navigate to data collection, and then here we get to add the data collection request, where we select the type of the data collection that we want. And right now we said we're going to focus on the water service providers. This is in version 4. We are also going to be rolling out reporting for small scale service providers, and that is in the upcoming version. So for now, if you want to create a request to collect data from the water utilities, I'm going to choose water service providers, and then the period, of course, when we do annually, it would automatically generate data creation for the monthly data set. We'll see how various data sets are inputted, and for this parameter here, we have also the monthly data entry. Some of the parameters, like in commercial and technical, are reported based on monthly basis. So one would choose annual, and then the year of focus. So already we have data for 22-23 and 23-24. So this is just an overview of how we get to create data collection request. And once this request is created, I'm going to focus on an existing data set, let's say 22-23. And you can see this is created for the year 22-23, and you see the status is created. So once WASREB initiates the data collection request, it goes to all the water service providers. So we're going to switch back to the portal, water service provider portal, and see what they can be able to see, and also move on with the process of collecting data. So this is Nakuru Water and Sanitation Services. As mentioned from the other portal, they are also able to see the dashboard that is related to their performance on the key performance indicators. So this data is a focus of 23-24 data, but you could always choose the year that you want to see the performance. So for this 22-23 data, this was their reporting for the year. And once the data collection request had been initiated over the WASREB portal, the WSP is always required to come and now create the data set so that they can be able to start data entry and give us the data. So for the year 22-23, when they come here, initially there is a create column here. And for this create column, there is always a create button. So they would click on the create button, and then the data would turn into data entry process. The actual data set that is being shown on the screen is at the status submitted for external review. This is because it's just reporting for 22-23 data that has been already finalized. So that is how we start a data request, and then they accept by creating the data set, then they get ready to key in the data. Now, the dataset creation by water service providers can only be true if and only if the preliminary details, and that is the company details, the board management objectives, and the schemes have been filled in correctly. So I'll focus on the schemes and how they are created, and majorly the schemes will describe the service area that the water service provider is actually serving according to the license that is provided by WASREB. So for Nakuru, the demo company here, you can see the status of their scheme is approved. So normally when they are creating scheme, or when there is a change in the service area they're serving, they would come here, then they would go to the zone. Each zone would have sub-locations, because when you're choosing a zone, there are sublocations within that zone. We are referencing to the census data here, that is 2019 census data, where we have each sublocation having a certain population. But in the system, as we go ahead, we'll see that the population is grown, obviously by a certain figure. So this is how they choose the sublocation. They get to choose the sublocations for the zone they are serving as per the requirements of the license or the license given to them. So once they choose this, they get to submit. This is disabled because it's already approved. So they submit this for approval. Now it comes to WASREB, we validate, we check on the sublocations that the water service provider has chosen. We get to know if at all there are some of the sublocations which are not meant to be served by this service provider. Also the reference being the license given to them. There is this column for apportionment, and as you can see, it's a percentage. So here, what happens is at times the service area of a certain sublocation might not be fully served by a water service provider. So they normally apportion and give them a percentage of what they are actually serving. So for this case, they are having 30%, and this one will compute the total population that is equivalent to 30%. In this case scenario, if total population is 10,621, we'll do 30% of that population. This parameter for population is actually important when it comes to the key performance indicators, because we shall see on how this contributes to calculation of water coverage, sanitation coverage. The population parameter always plays a role. Next, I'll jump straight to now, after data collection request, now the data set is actively in place, and the WSP is ready to input data. So normally they will go to data sets. This is now data collection, and as we said, we can collect data. Some of the parameters are in monthly basis, some of them are in annual basis. So as a demo, we're using the data that is passed, that is 22-23. So they will come here, choose the year and then the type, monthly data, of course. Normally start from July, which is always the financial year starting month. So for right now in this version, we have the billing commercial monthly data, and we are working to incorporate some other parameters here, like the billed volumes, that is the consumptions for various water service providers on monthly basis. So I think the next version will cover that. So here, let's just have a feel of how the form looks like, on how they can input data. At this point, talking about the abstraction protection data, and this is the form with the various raw data parameters. So we get to calculate the water that is lost, that is the NRW, from this form, because we get to see what is abstracted, what is actually billed to the customers. And finally, we get to calculate the percentage. So this is just to get a feel of how the form looks. And right straight, we're going to shift the data to annual data, so that you can see what is being filled in on annual basis. And as explained earlier in the slides by my colleague, we saw all the commercial data which were filled in the annual level, which included the commercial, water connection, sewer connection, and all these data sets. So once this is complete, once the data entry is complete, normally the WSP would, the data entry person, that is the role designed to do this, would go to data collection and then forward this data to the next step, which is an internal review. This process is important so that we can get reliable data. So there is internal review from data entry, and then goes to MD, and then now to WASREB, that is the external review. And right now, this data is at WASREB view. So that being said, that is how data entry is done, and that is how it's actually processed from data entry to WASREB end. I want to shift to reports. So allow me to shift to reports where we get to analyze various parameters based on the computations from the raw data that are keyed in by the water service providers. So reports are both accessible by WASREB side and also the water service provider side. So there are reports which are tailored to water service provider, and also there are reports which are tailored to WASREB end. So from WASREB end, we have these reports. So as you can see, there are much more reports on the WASREB end, and they are actually tailored to a specific functionality. I'm going to focus on a few reports. For example, I would like to look at the sublocation assignment report. So from the filling in of the schemes, filling in of the sublocations of where the water service provider serves, they are able to actually verify their sublocations that are assigned to them by downloading this report. So the system has a capability of exporting the report, can do in Excel format, and then you get to see the content of the report. So basically, this would give us all the sublocations which are being served by a certain service provider. So for this service provider, it gives us the WSP name, of course, it's Nakuru Water, and then the scheme that they have, and then the zone, then sublocation, the coverage in terms of percentage, then total. This will finally give us the total population that is being served by this water service provider. And that is how a report is generated from the system. So proceeding to another report, I'd like to touch on, let's touch on another report like the trend analysis report from the WASREB end. So WASREB is able to track the trend of a WSP for a specific indicator. All these are reports, but we're going to focus on a few reports. So let me do the indicator trend analysis reports by WSP. This one would show us a specific indicator over a certain period of time. It can be in graphical format, bar format, or line format. So I'm going to choose the indicator that I want. And let's go for one of the indicators. We can use let's use the SEWA part indicator. The SEWA indicator, we have a lot of indicators there, but we can use the SEWA coverage indicator. Use click save, and then now you can select the WSP. And of course, focal WSP is Nakuru WSP. So I'm focusing on Nakuru, and then the start here is you only have data for 22, 23, and 23, 24. So I'm gonna pick those, and then I'm gonna pick on the bar type. You also get to choose the format. You can choose PDF, and then you can download or preview. So if I get to preview, I'm able to see these indicators for these two financial years. This one is something like that 2%, and this one is something like that 6% from the estimates. So that is how we get to see the indicators reports. So that is for reports. You can also check on one more report before we actually get to the next point. Sorry. So for this one, let's choose another, say for example, drinking water quality report. This is from WASREB end, and they normally get to choose drinking water quality based on the county, WWDA. So it's very elaborate. So I can still focus on one of the reports that is for for Nakuru. Then we get to see what we get from this report. My focus here would be 22-23, and the format could be PDF or Excel. So I can preview the reports. Okay, let's just download when we see what you have. So if we preview this report, it will have the parameters for drinking water quality, such as the test category, the scheme test category, water produced, the number of tests which were planned and which were conducted, and those which were within the norm. And that is for water quality. So we have bacteriological test category, physiochemical, and other type of tests. So that is just to get a feel of that report. And I think that is it for reports. I'm going to go back to the ranking report, which is on the WASREB end. And maybe before I go to the ranking report, I'd like to show how data is reviewed, maybe from a point of accountability, how we get to know who did this and who did this. So the audit trail in the system that will show who did what at what time is one of the features that enables us to track the progress of each parameter in the system. So I'm going to use, let's still use Nakuru. Let's check for any data for Nakuru. So we can check actually for 22-23 data. So there is a column for audit. And normally when we click on it, we get to see who did what and from what perspective. So if I can explain the data here, is it started from data entry. It was in requested state as the old value. It goes to data entry, and the actioner here is 𝗬𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃. Then it goes from data entry to submitted for internal review, done by the same person. And you can see the person who reviewed here is not the same person who was pushing the data from data entry to internal review. We have another person doing the role of a reviewer. Then after review, internal review, it's changed to reviewed. Then now this data was pushed also from reviewed status to WASREB by another user. So that is how the process goes. And yeah, it allows us to track and have accountability for each of the data set that we have in the system. So going back to the dashboard, which is the overall analytics, that is the output of the system, we can see based on the raw parameters, we get to calculate the non-revenue water. Of course, you can be able to see this dashboard is actually color coded, and as you can see, the green colors would imply a good performance, and for the yellow one would imply the average performance. If you get where there is red, it's normally an indicator that we have something that needs to be critically improved. So this is for Nakuru Water, and that is the dashboard, and that is it for the water service provider portal. For the ranking report here, WASREB end, you can also see the ranking report is color coded. This ranking report is normally real. It's on a real basis. The data is real. Means when the water service providers are doing the data entry, we get to see the figures here changing, and we get to see the color codes for the figures. So as I said earlier, green is good performance, and red is needs improvement, and yellow would mean needs to be average performance. So that is it for the live demo. I think that is it from my end, and I'll give it back to Shuko.
Thank you, Gideon. for that elaborate live demo, and thank you, Brenda, for the wonderful presentation. I think we have gotten a lot of insights, and super excited to hear the questions that will come from our attendees. And so once again, thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Gideon, for that wonderful presentation. So we will take a 5-minute break, and then when we come back, get ready to ask any questions that you may have with regards to the presentation that we have heard today. So just a 5-minute break just to stretch, grab coffee, water, and then we reconvene after that. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back to our session today. We just had an amazing presentation of the WARIS platform from Brenda and Gideon. And so as we get to the Q&A phase, everyone's microphone has been activated. Feel free to raise your hand and ask your question, and then we will have our presenters respond to the question. So feel free again to raise your hand, and then we will have the presenters respond. And for those that are unable to speak, please feel free to type your questions in the chat. So the Q&A is open. Feel free to just raise your hand, and we will. Thanks, Wanda. I already see a hand from you. Go for it.
Hello, can I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. From 𝗗𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 County Water and Sanitation Company. That's Kenya. So now my issue was I was at the WARIS data validation exercise that happened 2 weeks ago, but there was an issue when it comes to the data entry at the finance, whereby if you check on the cash flows, whatever has been implemented in the system is the direct method, not the indirect method as outlined by the OAG. So I don't know how this will be figured out in the near future to incorporate the OAG standards of reporting on the cash flows.
Thank you, Wanda. We'll take one more question before our presenters can respond. Go for it, Patricia. You can go ahead and ask your question, Patricia.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation from the teams. Mine is on the application itself. Does every year we need to make the data collection, and maybe there are new changes that we need to amend? Is it at WASREB's docket to do the update on the application itself, or you have to contact the software developer? Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia and Wanda. I will pass it on to Brenda and Gideon to respond to the questions.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you, Shuko, and thank you for the questions. Okay, the first question that came from Wanda was regarding the cash flow as captured within WARIS, and the concern is that the way the structure has been implemented in WARIS, it is not in line with the requirements. Okay. Usually, what we have aligned in WARIS as the data requirements it's aligning itself with the factors of what we consider as accounting for regulation. So what you see in the system may not be typically copy and paste from what you see from the financial and reporting standards. However, we can engage we can engage you, Wanda, further and on how best we can accommodate that issue. But when we are coming up with the requirements, we also align it with the regulatory accounting. So it is basically cannot be exactly as it appears in the other financial statements. From Patricia, you're asking about data collection. What happens is that at the beginning of a data collection cycle, WASREB will create the data set within the system. And once the data set has been created, the water service providers will get an alert. In terms of the changes, it has not come out clear for me what level of changes you are referring to. But in terms of your service area changes, those ones are usually done in collaboration with the regulator. Will do the service area changes in collaboration with the water service provider. And as you saw from the demo, there's a part where we can arrange the general preliminary data and align it to the new changes maybe within our water service providers. But now when you're referring to maybe system changes, I need to know maybe perhaps the scope that you'd be referring to in this case. But just to answer your question in a short way, we do not have to engage the developer in doing some minor changes that are related to the data collection. I hope I have addressed your two questions. Perhaps my colleague Gideon, you want to add something on the two?
Thank you, Brenda, for the chance. Just a highlight on what Patricia said. The indicators, new indicators, I'm happy to say that from our end, we can be able to control new indicators. We can add them to the system. Whenever we enroll one or two indicators, we are capable of adding it to the system without.
Gideon, we lost you for a bit. Okay. As Gideon is coming up, I saw we had a hand from Alan, and then we also have a hand from Golden. So Alan, and then we'll have Golden, and then Catherine. Okay. Golden, you can go for it. Then we'll have Catherine, and then Wanda.
Thank you so much. My question goes to I think the previous speaker, the one who was, sorry, I've just gotten the name. He was presenting on his performance, the key performance indicators for his utility company. And I saw for 911 water, it was showing something like, is it 47.9 or 43.9? Now my question is the two, the data analysis tool able to distinguish commercial losses and also physical losses quantitatively, meaning in figures, okay, not just by percentage? And also, are they able to determine in monetary form to say, for commercial losses, this is what we, lost, and also physical losses, this is what we lost. If it's able to do that, it's very important so that people know the amount of monies which a particular CU, if we are to adopt the two as well, for us to know, that this is the kind of losses we made in terms of monetary form. I think that is my question. Otherwise, the presentation was good.
Thanks, Golden. We'll pass it to Catherine.
So this is Gordon from Zambia, working with 𝗄𝗄𝗃 and Sanitation Company, based in Zambia. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Gordon. I'll pass it to Catherine.
Yeah, my name is 𝗗𝗲𝗃-𝗃𝗲𝗃 from Malindi Water and Sewage Company. Thank you, Shuko, for the opportunity. Brenda and Gideon, that was a super presentation. Just to add on what the question on or rather the concern Wanda had. It's not only on the cash flow, but also on the rest, especially on the expenses. So when you're actually filling in the financial data, there's a lot of and addition to make sense to what is supposed to be required. So if that can be aligned, especially with the reporting format of the WSPs and also the AOG, that will be great. Another request maybe is on the slide of performance assessment parameters. Kindly explain the percentages. I've just seen the percentages, but I'm not able to comprehend. Kindly reach out.
Thank you, Catherine. We will have Wanda ask the question, and then I will pass it to you, Brenda and Golden, and Gideon, sorry, for the responses. Wanda?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Again, just to echo on what Patricia said, as initially, when we were reporting the 2022-2023 data, I think for my company, there was an issue with the active connections that we over-reported. But now when we are now going to, supposed to make amends, I think we were not given a concrete response onto that, if the amends have been made or not, or if they're possible to be made, because we had the evidence of the same. So I think these are the things. But when it comes to the sub-service levels, the sub-locations that we have, I think for us, we were able to adjust on the sub-locations that we serve, as we are included some of the schemes or the zones that we had, which was done. I think this was done by the licensing office. Says we had to get a letter from the county government that stated like they had no objection to that effect. I think that was able to be done, but only adjusting on the data that already been there in the system. I think that's where maybe you can elaborate more, Brenda or Gideon. Thank you.
Thank you for those questions. I will pass it to Brenda and Gideon.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Let me just start with Wanda's concern. Okay. I know the issues that you're raising are specific to your data collection experience and process, and I think it's just to be fair to the audience. We will address with you once we go through your data sets. You are saying you had not been given, I think, an opportunity to update the data. We will address that with you and ensure that the data that is finally published within the system is actually the correct data as provided with the evidence that you'll have. So that one we will address it at your WSP level. And then now to go to Catherine's concern, which is also linked to the first concern on alignment with the finance data. That one will also look at that. The thing is that once these regulations are communicated and published, it becomes important for us to also check and align and see what information are we able to consume as a regulator and what information is important in terms of ensuring that we monitor the operations effectively. That one will also, we'll get further in touch with that. And then in terms of the question for Catherine on the performance parameters, maybe Shuko, you can just briefly scroll to that slide that was showing the 9 KPIs. I think that is what Catherine is referring to. Yes, this one. Just to avoid the confusion, when you start with the bigger circle, we have the 3 main categories of our indicators. As you can see, economic efficiency is 30%. operational sustainability is 30% and quality of service is 40%. That total is 100%. So we are looking at the KPIs and we are giving them, when you look at the 9 KPIs in totality, we give them 100%. And then we have weighed the quality of services indicator slightly higher than the economic and operational sustainability indicators. That's why you see the quality of service indicator, we have given it 40% when you are calculating that cluster of indicators. And then the economic efficiency and the operational sustainability, we split the remaining 60 into 30 and 30. Now, going now to the smaller circles, these are the sub-indicators that are contained within the performance, the cluster indicators. So, for example, when we choose, let's do with quality of service, what we have basically done is to now split further the 40% out of the total 100. We will be assigning weights on the specific indicators to elaborate how important, okay, not really important, how to draw more emphasis on the ones that we would like to elevate higher than maybe others, because they're all at different levels. So what we, for this quality of service indicators, what we have elevated will be the water coverage and the drinking water quality, both at 37.5% out of now the 40, and then now the hours of supply, which is 25%. So basically, we just picked the cluster of indicators and disaggregated it further to just emphasize how we weight the different key performance indicators when you are calculating the different clusters. Well, I hope, Catherine, that will be clear, but you can always engage further just to now narrow it down maybe to your specific data to see how well your understanding is and how we can how you're able to apply it to your water service provider. And then for Golden from Zambia, your question mostly is on how to distinguish between commercial and the physical losses. Okay, how we do it through the WARIS. The WARIS system, we calculate the NRW in volumes. And what we do, as I mentioned in the previous presentation, we need to correlate indicators such that we also check the revenues that have been received in terms of the business that the water service provider makes. Like, for example, if we have established that the NRW for a certain WSP based on the amount produced and amount that is billed, maybe we establish it is at 47%. So what we do, we will convert this to monetary. We will convert it to monetary terms in order to make sense, such that we will we look at the acceptable NRW, which is from 25% and below, and then now we use a formula just to interpolate to see how we can estimate we can convert the figure into amount and also correlate it with the billing data and the amount of money that the amount of billed the amount that was billed by the water service provider, and then we just correlate the values with the collection is out, but basically it's the amount that is billed, versus amount that is sold based on the different consumer categories. I hope that one clarifies for you. My colleague Gideon, would you like to add something, especially on the system issues, or we can proceed?
I think, Brenda, you've handled the question. I think we can proceed. I have nothing to add. So please proceed.
Over to you, Shuko.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Gideon. I know we are almost at time, and we want to be very cognizant of people's time. But we're seeing a couple of hands. So maybe I can pick one more question, and then we will continue with the conversation. Please feel free to drop the questions in the chat, and we will have our presenters just respond to the questions that will be in the chat, and you could see those responses even post this particular webinar. I will pass it to Grace just for a quick question, and then we can close the webinar.
All right. Thank you very much, Brenda and Gideon, for the wonderful presentation. We appreciate how far WASREB and WARIS has come from the days when you were using the CD to now it being an online system. I'm just curious. I've noticed that WARIS is still using the old administrative units, that is linking the service area of the utility to the sub locations. So I was wondering, with the new, okay, not really new, with the 2010 UK, those units were changed to the wards and sub wards. Is there a reason why we stuck to the old system?
I can go ahead and answer that, or we will have another round. Shuko, do I go ahead?
Yes,
okay. Okay. We had the census. The basis of the sublocation is on the 2019 census, and yes, the naming of the single unit was redone, but now the challenge that we've had in between the collaboration between the institutions is that we are still in the process of getting, on one hand there's the KNBS data, and on the other hand we have the spatial data, which is managed by, which was the managed data is managed by we were told the security department in terms of the boundaries committee. So now integrating the two data sets is something that we are working on, so that we also give a more accurate and present baseline in terms of the population. But going upwards from the county and the sub-county level, the populations that we have received are actually more or less accurate. So as we go into making our data more granular, we just have to have the interstate collaboration to ensure that the spatial data for the boundaries collaborates with the Kenya National and the KNBS data, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data. So that is actually what we have been working on as the regulator. Yes.
Thank you, Brenda, and thank you, Gideon. We've had a wonderful session, and thank you everyone for the submissions. As mentioned, please feel free to leave your questions. I see Wanda still has a hand up. Feel free to leave your questions in the chat, and we will have Brenda and Gideon respond to the various questions that would be in the chat. As mentioned earlier, we would also like to encourage everyone to join the ESAWAS Engage platform and the GWOPA Sanitation COP, just to continue conversations around some of these topics that we continue to spotlight on this webinar series. And as a recap, we are again super excited to be launching the WSH Data Labs at AFWASA, and so for everyone that will be at AFWASA, look out for our sessions. That's on the 18th and the 19th, and as part of these sessions we will be launching the latest Non-Sewered Sanitation landscape data systems report for the sector, and we will also be launching the TOOS dashboard. And so we look forward to engaging with everyone. We also have various sessions by our partners, ESAWAS and GWOPA. Look out for those sessions as well at AFWASA. And let it be an opportunity for us to engage and answer some of the questions, and also explore potential opportunities to collaborate. As a part of the next steps as well, we have a QR code on the screen, just so that for those that are interested in getting involved in the work that we are driving, please feel free to scan that and read on what we have planned and how you could also participate. We will be sharing the recording of today's webinar and additional resources, including the presentation that was shared and the learning material, just so that everyone could have those resources handy. And then once again, just to reiterate, 2025 is going to be an exciting year, and we have a lot of activities planned, and so we look forward to continue engaging with you all. A big thank you to our speakers, and most importantly, participants and attendees who joined from various parts of the world, regardless of time zone. Your engagement is critical to advance data-driven solutions within the sector, and we look forward and hope to see you at the upcoming conference to continue engaging around these topics. Thank you all for joining, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thanks. Enjoy your day.